this is Heidi. Welcome to the Pancake Channel, and this week we are going to make something a little different. That was my daughter's idea, and something that we've never made before, and that is a chai spice gluten-free pancake. And so the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and mix up our chai spices and get them going on the stove so that we can mix up our pancake mix. Go ahead. Okay, so we're going to make chai spice milk, and the first you're going to need 2 pots for this. In the smaller pot, we're going to go ahead and put in 1 cup of water, and we're going to add our spices to that in a minute. And in this other pot, we're going to put in 3 cups of just this coconut milk. And then we're just going to put this on the stove and heat it up really quick. So there's 2, and that's not quite 3, but that's fine. Okay, so we're going to heat up the milk first while we're putting in the spices into this water. So we have 1 cup of water here, 3 cups of coconut milk. So we're going to start with some white pepper, and we're going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper. And I'll just dump that in there like that. And then we're going to do some cinnamon. And we're going to do 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. There's 1/2 and 1/4 here. Okay. And then we're going to need some cardamom. And with this, we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, and we're also going to use allspice, which is 1/4 teaspoon. You can play around with these spices. I just kind of played around with them, and this is the ratio that works good for us, and it actually tastes really good too. So we also need cloves, and this is going to be another 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. And the last spice we want to use is going to be anise. And anise, unfortunately, this one was not ground, so I need to grind it myself. So I have my grinder here, and we need 1/2 teaspoon of anise. So I'm just going to take some out here. It would help if I opened up the lid, dropped it in my little Miracle Mill here, and just kind of pulsated it a little bit so it'll grind up. Okay, that should be good. So we're just going to dump this in. And now we're going to bring this pot of spices and water to a boil. And then we're going to let it simmer for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner on. So we're going to let that sit and come to a boil. Alright, so this is our coconut milk, and it's getting really heated up here. It's almost at a boil. And you just want to make sure you don't burn the bottom of the pan with the coconut milk, and this is looking pretty good. So I just chose just an organic black tea. This is an oolong, and I took 2 tea bags is what I'm going to use for my 3 cups of coconut milk. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off and pull this off, and I'm just going to let my tea bags steep in my coconut milk for about 15 or 20 minutes. While my spices are steeping in the water. So we're just going to leave that, and we'll come back in a minute. Alright, so our spices have come to a boil, and so I just turned the heat off and set my timer for another 15 minutes. So once this timer goes off, I'll go ahead and remove my tea bags from the milk, and we'll go ahead and add this mixture to our milk and get started. Alright, So now we have our chai spices on the stove and they're mulling. So we're going to go ahead and let them sit for a little while, and we're going to go ahead and mix up our pancake batter. And we chose millet flour, and this is a gluten-free flour, and you can grind this yourself if you have a grain mill. We just chose not to today. And so we're just going to use, we're going to start with 3 cups of this. And millet flour is another one of those ancient grains that's really high in protein and amino acids and fiber, and it doesn't bother people's guts as much as a wheat would. So we're going to do 3 cups of this. It's a little cakier too. So this is millet, and now we're going to do our baking powder and baking soda, and we're going to do 2 teaspoons of each of those. So there's 1. All right. And I'm also going to add a sweetener because chai spice lattes usually are really sweet. But we're going to use sucanut, which is a natural sugar cane, and also has some benefits to it and nutrients, so it's not as detrimental as a white sugar would be. And so I'm going to put in a cup of this, maybe just a little under a cup. So we almost forgot the chia seeds, and these are important because they act as a binder to all of our flours and mixture in here, and if we didn't add them, our pancakes would be really flat and hard. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a half a cup of these. And chia seeds are really high in omega-3s, and they're also really good for fiber and protein, and I like them because I don't have to grind them like I do flax seeds. They're just perfect the way they are. So we're going to go ahead and mix this up now. All right, so this is our base here. All right, this should be good. Now we can go check on our spices. All right, so we've let this steep for about 15 minutes, and I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze out all the goodness in these tea bags. And we've got our spice mixture here that was been steeping for a while. And I'm just going to add it to my milk with my tea. And now we've got chai milk. So you're only going to need a couple cups of this for the pancake recipe. So with the rest of this, you could always put this in a smoothie or something like that, or an iced coffee if you drink coffee, something like that. So, all right, so we have our chai spiced milk that we made, and we're going to go ahead and add it to our mixture here. And it's still kind of warm from the stove, so I'm going to start with a couple cups and see how that goes. Alright, so it's 2 cups of chai milk. Alright. Smells pretty good. Alright, our last ingredient is a half a cup of applesauce, and you can use a jarred applesauce if you want. We didn't have any, so we just made some. And so this is just half a cup of pureed apple. So the applesauce is our oil substitute, and along with our chia seeds. So we're just going to mix this in. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and go cook them. topping for our chai spice pancakes because they're so flavorful with all the spices we put in them. We don't want to ruin it with something really strong like a maple syrup. So we're going to make whipped cream out of coconut milk. So what you want to do is take your coconut milk can and put it in the freezer for about 15 minutes. And then we're going to make a vanilla flavored one. So what you want to do is get a vanilla bean. And if you don't have a vanilla bean, you could probably just use some vanilla extract. But we use these non-GMO gluten-free vanilla beans. And what you want to do is just take your knife and slice it down the center, which I've already done. And then you're just going to kind of peel it open, which is kind of tricky. Alright, so this is my vanilla bean, and I'm just going to take my spoon and I'm going to pull out all of this stuff in here. It's not the most beautiful process in the world, but you just have to do it. So I'm sure there's somebody out there that can do this way better than I can, but the ultimate purpose, right, is for flavor, so it doesn't really matter how we get there. So, and the cool thing about this vanilla bean, if you have something, a strong blender like a Vitamix or a Blendtec blender, is that you can use this vanilla bean in your smoothie after you've scraped all the meat out of it, because it will just pulverize it and you won't notice it at all. So, and it'll give you a ton of flavor in your smoothie. So nothing is wasted. Alright, so I've almost got it all here. It's kind of messy. There we go. Alright, got that. So we have our vanilla bean in here. So we've got our vanilla bean in our bowl, and now we're going to go ahead and open up this can of coconut milk that's been in the freezer for about 15 minutes. What you're going to find is that the fat is going to be totally solidified and the liquid is going to stay on the bottom. And what we want to do is just scoop out the fat off the top and leave the liquid. So this is not a pretty process either, so we're just grabbing all this fat out of here, which is good fat. And you want to try not to get too much liquid because it'll ruin your whipping cream. It'll be like a whipped up mess. Alright, so we've left the milk, which you can use for another recipe. And I'm just going to grab this chunk right here. Okay. So now all we have to do is just whip it for about 5 minutes. And that should be enough to make whipped cream. Okay. Well, we forgot the sugar, so we're going to add that. We keep a tiny bit of this raw sugar on hand for recipes like this. And we don't use sucanut for this because it makes our whipped cream brown, and brown whipped cream isn't very pretty. So we're just going to use a tablespoon of raw sugar in this. And this is organic sugar. Still sugar, but it's going to make whipped cream. So here we go. made our coconut whipped topping, and we have our pancakes ready, and I just want to give you a few tips on making this particular little delicacy. And the first is you want to make sure that you buy a BPA can, BPA-free can of coconut milk, and any other canned goods for that matter if you're buying canned food. We don't buy a lot of canned stuff, but coconut milk is, for baking, is kind of essential. So one trick is that you just buy the can and look at the top, and if there's a white ring around the top where it's attached to the can, it contains BPA. And if it has a golden ring or a yellow tone on the top, it's BPA free. So that's kind of a good indicator. You want to just steer clear of BPA because it's really not good for you or your children. And this particular brand, this Natural Value, is BPA free, and they even don't mind putting it on their can, which is nice. So we use this. And another tip you want to have for making this particular product is that not all coconut milk is created equally, and I'm not sure, you know, different brands are different brands are different. So if you happen to open up your can and you don't have a lot of coconut fat on the top, you can go ahead and put in the entire can, including the liquid, and you're just going to go ahead and beat it until it gets lots of air in it, and then you can put in tapioca flour a little bit at a time until you get the consistency of whipped cream. So this is our whipped cream we made, and if you happen to have some leftover whipped cream, you can put it in your fridge and it'll last for about a week in case you wanted to make something else that required this yummy little topping. So I'm just going to put a little bit on these pancakes here. That's probably too much, but my daughter's going to love them, so I'm going to let her eat them. Good.
Great job, Mom!
Mackie, what are you eating? What are you having? A pancake? What's it got on it?
Pancake.
Does it have cream on it? Your whipped cream? Is that yummy? That's your favorite, isn't it? Can you say, I love whipped cream? More whipped cream? Can you say bye-bye? Wow, it's a big bite. Can you say bye-bye?
Alright, so we've made our chai spice pancakes, and they are gluten-free, and we already ate them, so I don't actually have them in front of me anymore. So you want to go ahead, we would actually really appreciate it if you would go to our Pancake Channel on YouTube, and if you would subscribe to our channel, and if you would go to your Facebook page and find us on Facebook and like us and share us, we would appreciate that too. And you can also try our pancakes, and if you do that, be sure to take a photo of them and hashtag TPC Chai Spice Pancakes and post it to your Instagram and your Twitter. We would love that. Thanks for watching the Pancake Channel, and we'll see you next week. Now we have our Spice Chices. Alright, syrup. So we're going to go ahead and make a maple, well, not a maple.
Just keep going.
We're going to make a coconut milk. Not a coconut milk either.
Coconut whipped cream.
It's whipped cream, okay. We're going to make, yeah. What are we going to say next?
Don't forget to subscribe.
Oh yeah. So now we have our chai spices on the stove, and they are milling right now. Mulling? They're mulling, they're not milling.